Virginia. Great to be here in Landsdowne. Well, I love it because it's so Republican, of course. So anybody here from Prince William County originally at all? Or Fairfax? I always ask that question. It's interesting because when I ask that question in Prince William, it's like there's been this outflow of Republicans, you know, from Fairfax and other places further in into Prince William, and which I love it because it brings more Republicans on our way. But anyway, I wanted to talk to you about a couple things. First of all, I'm glad there are no protesters here today. Virtually they couldn't get past the gate.
Right.
But we've had protesters. We had a fundraising event, just a small one, last night in Prince William County, and of course the protesters came out to that. They just can't stand what some of the things that I'm doing that virtually no other Republican is doing here in Virginia. And let me just tell you a little bit about myself in Prince William County. It's the second largest locality in Virginia, just behind Fairfax County. 454,000 residents. It's about 54% minority. And like Loudoun County and Fairfax, you have a county-wide elected chairman of the Board of Supervisors. I've been elected 4 times county-wide in Prince William County. I'm the only Republican who's been able to win in Prince William County since 2009. The last Republican to win in Prince William County, besides myself, was Bob McDonnell, and that was 8 years ago. And I've done this, and I've governed as a conservative. In 2007, we implemented what was considered and is considered the toughest crackdown on illegal immigration anywhere in the United States of America. So far, and here's the policy, and that is this. If someone is arrested and they're brought into our jail, we check their immigration status. We don't care what the race is. We don't care what language they speak. We don't care what ethnicity they are. We check their immigration status. And if that person is here illegally, they serve their time for the crime that they committed, and then we hand them over to ICE for deportation. And so far, we have handed over, in Prince William County alone, under my policy, more than 7,500 criminal illegal aliens over to ICE. The violent crime rate went down substantially. In fact, it's at a 24-year low in Prince William County. One of the big things that happened is the violent crime rate went down by 48.7% in 2 years. We're very proud of that. There's a really horrible gang out there. It's called MS-13. 80% of its members, MS-13 members, are illegal aliens. Now, about a month and a half ago, if you think that this is just a problem up here in North Virginia and in Fairfax and in Maryland, you're wrong. It's all over Virginia. About 6 weeks ago, in Lynchburg, 3 illegal alien gang members of MS-13 abducted a 17-year-old 11th grader in Lynchburg, and there are no children in here, so I can say exactly what they did. They cut off his hands, they cut off his feet, and then they slit his throat, and then they dumped his body in Bedford. Now, this is something the press isn't talking about all that much. Because when you acknowledge it, then you have to address it. And it's something that most people don't want to address. But I'm addressing it because the #1 job of every level of government, whether you're local, state, or federal, is to protect the lives and the safety and the rights of the citizens you serve. And that's why, when I am governor of Virginia, we're going to take the Prince William County policy, the policy that was duplicated in Arizona, the policy that leads to reduction in crime, the policy that has never led to one single case of racial profiling in Prince William County, and we are going to adopt that in every single locality and in every single jail in the Commonwealth of Virginia, so that when somebody commits a crime and they're an illegal alien, they're not released, they are deported. attention, a lot of press attention about this issue on historical monuments. And some people say, Corey, you're spending too much time on it, and I understand that. But you got to understand this too. I am talking about other issues. But of course, the press likes this issue because it's more interesting. But this is why it's so important. I didn't come into this race thinking that historical monuments was going to be a big issue. It wasn't an issue 4 years ago. And you know why it wasn't an issue 4 years ago? Is because 4 years ago, nobody was ripping down statues and monuments to Virginia heroes. Nobody was doing that 4 years ago. But they are today. And it's not just in Virginia. By the way, do you remember this, what the Democrats were doing 10 years ago? Do you remember this? The war on women? The war on women? They did it for several years until it no longer worked. So they had to come up with a new issue. They had to come up, the Democrats had to come up with a new way of dividing us, of dividing the country. Well, they said, well, let's just start talking about racism. Well, you know, that word is, you know, that's become kind of old. So they came up with this new thing, white supremacy. White supremacy. Folks, I don't know about you. I don't know a single white supremacist. I don't know one. And wherever they are, they're under some rock someplace. They don't exist, folks. But the Democrats are trying to convince us that they do. So here's what they're doing. They're going around the country and they're removing statues of Robert E. Lee, Stonewall Jackson, Jefferson Davis, and all of these Confederate heroes. And why are they doing it? Because they know that we Republicans, conservatives, are going to object because it's wrong to remove history. It is wrong to remove history. You cannot erase history. And it doesn't stop in New Orleans, it doesn't stop in Florida, because a couple of months ago in Charlottesville, that city council voted to remove a statue of Robert E. Lee that has been there since 1924. 1924. And when they're done with that, now think about this. They're taking down statues of people because they fought for the Confederacy, because the Confederacy supported, or slavery was lawful in the Confederate States. So it's the next logical step is what? After you take down the statues for those who fought in part to preserve the institution of slavery, the next thing that they're coming after is what? They're coming after the monuments to those who owned slaves. And that includes George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, and so many others of the founders. And once you've removed the monuments to those founding fathers, and you have undermined their moral authority, you have undermined them, and you have undermined the documents that they produced, namely the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. And that is why we must stop it here. And over my dead body will any statue of any Virginia hero be removed from any locality in Virginia when I am governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia. And thanks a lot, everybody. The election's on June 13th. I ask for your vote. Let's take back Virginia. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Corey. Were there any other